Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Skork video. It's been quite a while since I recorded this. Maybe a month or so ago since my last Skork video. So I'm doing this to kind of update you guys and kind of go over the progress. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that you don't get to see. Like this project, 28 projects in here. And you guys don't get to see it on GitHub because it's private. But this is a Skork framework. And we have a WPF project in here to debug that Skork framework. But as you may have noticed, if you ever went on my GitHub, I've changed the project from Skork Engine to Skork Engine Web. That's the new name of the repository. And I actually completely replaced the original WPF project in here with the ASP.NET .NET Core MVC application. That's a mouthful. So here it is. Here is a cross-platform web-based application of Skork. It does not implement the framework at all right now. It is simply an empty page with a starter template. And I made changes to the README here. So we're getting rid of the WPF app. It's not serving the purpose of my original or my new intentions. We are going to focus on the web-based implementation as a start, not as a secondary. Before, my start was a WPF. That was my focus. But I'm only using WPF here just to get quick debugging instead of running a web page and doing it through that. I'm doing it through WPF because I'm comfortable with that right now. But of course, once I get more functionality in, I'm going to port it to the web base and I'll do all my testing through the web. Because I'm going to be developing that as a implementation of the Skork framework. Now, the secondary project is completely different. It's a cross-platform Xamarin app. So this will be iOS, Android. Pretty awesome stuff with this because we have everything since our Skork Engine Framework. I'm not sure if this was covered in the last video, but this is a .NET Core framework. So as you can see here, all of this stuff, so we use Entity Framework Core. We are also using NUnit, and we're using Sakia Sharp. If you take a look at this, it's a cross-platform 2D graphics API that's used on mobile and desktop models and server to render images. This is perfect because we might have a Xamarin app in the future. And then, yeah, that's about it so far. There's a lot more libraries, of course, that will be added as my research continues with this project. This is, of course, a side project. So there's that. So yes, a lot of work is being done. This is the private Skork framework, and this is all of the code that's been done. Again, lots of refactoring here and there, tons of it, all over the place. But anyways, with the rename of the Skork Engine Web repository comes both the agile boards for the web and for the actual framework. Since it's a private repository, I have no way of communicating progress through GitHub's normal functionality. So I've created a project on this repository that describes that at a high level, pretty much what I'm doing. So you get to see, there is technical details sometimes in there. That's just for me. Again, not a lot of people are following this. I completely know that. I'm not oblivious. So I do add technical notes here and there to it because that helps me. It makes things a little bit more productive. Now, if we go to issues, you will see milestones and we have sprints. So we have sprints and under milestones here. Here are 3 closed. I just closed this. This was way overdue. And so the first 2 sprints, actually I've managed to complete all of the issues that were assigned to me, that I assigned to myself. But sprint 3, I didn't complete anything. In this sprint, I don't have too much time, but I don't imagine me completing these 2 either, because there's a lot of problems already I'm facing. But anyways, the point is so you guys get to see what am I doing in this private repository, the Skork Engine Framework, and you get to see all of that stuff. It's all documented here. This is, I could talk about this for a few days, but to put it simply, why am I doing sprints? when I have a full-time job and doing sprints in my normal job. It's just to show that, you know, I'm disciplined enough to use this development methodology because I believe in it, not because I'm forced to use it in my job. I actually believe in that style. Agile for me is how I get work done, and it's proven itself remarkably in my PC Ripper benchmark, my senior project, which is open sourced on my page. So feel free to check that out. Here's an example of a file that we want to run through the parser. It's not going to completely work, and it's going to basically fail at these points where we have comments. So that is not implemented as robustly as you might expect. And we also fail at this point where there is no white space. So there has to be a minimum of one white space, you know, for obvious reasons. Why would this parse correctly? It doesn't parse correctly in C#, so why would it parse correctly in my app? For example, if I do int I equals p, again, this won't work. I'm sure I don't have to write that, but yeah, that doesn't work. So I basically have to deal with this. I have to figure out to put white space in between. That's going to introduce more responsibility for the parser. I have to figure out a clever way to deal with this, because the parser is just supposed to put backslashes in between things. But this should parse. There shouldn't have to be white space here. It should understand that there are characters here that might represent a variable, and there has to be an operator at this point because a type was before. So it's going to expect some sort of operator, and then after that, and the value of that operator. So it should understand that. It should, so basically at the end of the day, it should have done this pretty much, but it won't. So let me show you. So building takes a bit of time because we do have like 28 projects in here, and we are rebuilding most of these projects, unfortunately, but that's okay. So here I am pasting it in. Again, this is just so I can right click and do parse. So int I equals 3, that is a good sign. Int j equals 4, int k equals 4. Again, these are all these lines. Once we get to k, after k it's gonna fail here. So we're gonna get white space because, again, my parser doesn't work correctly on this. Again, we would go skip to n. It actually skipped m over here and went straight to n. O gets parsed correctly even if the semicolon is on the same line as a declaration of it. And then int p equals 0, you're going to see it with just one backslash. So this might actually be sufficient. We might leave it this way, and then the compiler will come in and do its normal thing. It might look for delimiters of backslash, and it might look for simply operators to delimit. So that's very possible. I might not have to do anything here. Anyways, we have a ton of unit tests that go into this project. We have about 395 here. Lots of tests here. And the reason for that is we are using test-driven development as a development process for this project. Because it's a programming language, we want to ensure it works under certain edge cases. So that's the point of these tests. And I'm going to show you some here. Over here, we have a util project, and we have very specific classes. So every class in the util project will have a suffix of utility, no matter what. That is just for the readability of everything in this project. And since this belongs to the SRF, the Skork readable format, that's the prefix. So pretty much every utility in this project will have a prefix, what it belongs to, and then suffix is utility. The reason we do that is for readability outside of this library, out of this class, or sorry, out of this project. We want to know what's a utility, really. So they're all static classes. They all contain static functions, and they simply contain one or two functions that are utilities that we need. So we have the tests here as well. in the same folder structure, so we know exactly where it is. Again, same name as the class with tests as a suffix. And we have insane test cases, as you can see. These are all the possible whitespace characters. So that's what we're testing with here. And then tons of other stuff. So we have pretty much all our tests. We give an expected and an actual, and we use test cases so we can easily add a test. So these are very modular tests, and they're very readable in this case. Because string assert takes an expected, actual, and then here's your expected actual. Amazing stuff. Again, thanks so much for watching, guys. That's about all I'm going to show. There's a lot more work in other parts of the projects, like, I don't know, domain, for example. This is pretty heavy in, what's it called, nesting of namespaces, but it's very organized in that way. And we have short names for the interfaces, so we're pretty good in that. This will represent our computer. So this will give information to one of our databases that will track, you know, computer specs of that user. So we can see what kind of hardware they're running and see, you know, how Skork performs on that hardware. It's a very important thing to measure here. But again, lots of other small details here. I'm not going to record too much of doing all this. When I start getting to compiling and it actually works, there's gonna be a ton of Skork videos, but that won't be for a year or so, guys. Remember, I'm doing this in my free time, and whenever, you know, I feel like making a video to kind of demonstrate what I'm doing, I can't wait to do it. So yeah, here's another thing that I want to show now that I'm on here. So this is our comments utility. Remove comments from code line. This is our tests. So we have tests that work. Why doesn't it work when we run it through the parser? Well, these are, again, are isolated tests. These are only containing one line because they're just regular strings. This is as expected. But the test that's going into the test that's going into actually parsing it needs an integration test. So that's the difference, guys. These are isolated tests specifically for this function. Does not look at anything else. But as you can see, that's not how our code base runs. This is our clean potential code lines function, and again, it does multiple things here because its purpose is to clean potential code lines, and we got to do a few things to do that. So it could be order of operations here. That's a problem. But again, this is why we need to create a test for this, because it's an integration now. We want to test how all of this works. And again, I should have tested this before I wrote the code, but not perfect. I had to play around with this beforehand to kind of figure out what I want to do. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. It's about the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I will see you very soon in the next video, where we will probably discuss more of this stuff. And just to kind of illustrate something really quick here, everything is like interface based. This code base is going to be so modular, it's insane. Like, everything is interface based. We return interfaces, we take in interfaces as arguments. I mean, you can't get better than this. When you talk about collections, I can literally pass any collection to here. For example, I use queues internally because they're quicker. They're much quicker than lists in every circumstance. So this is pretty much the way to go. I mean, this is as clean as it gets. Yep, so thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought. And if you want to see something specific of Skork and you want a video for it, I'd be happy to make one. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out now.